Just a moment.
Yes, this is another game I am fashionably late in making a video about. Released roughly a year ago, Cryptmaster is about a necromancer known as the Cryptmaster, who revives 4 long-dead heroes of the past and uses them to fight his and their way back to the surface. Of course, it's not quite as simple as that. Inspired by games like Hangman and Wheel of Fortune, yes, you heard that right, this first-person grid-based dungeon crawler is controlled largely through text. Talking with NPCs, solving puzzles, and attacking and defending against enemies all involve typing. And since it's technically the heroes doing it, you could call this typing of the dead. Although I doubt any of them have Dreamcasts strapped to their backs. The problem here, with the heroes, not with the game, is that the recently resurrected cadavers only have the faintest of memories of their past lives and abilities. The onus falls on the player to solve these white and black word puzzles as they appear next to each hero. The former unlock new moves to be used in and or out of battle, and the latter unlock memories which eventually help reveal each character's backstory and level them up. At which point the player adds letters, which function as health, to the ends of their names.
Nezzy? What a silly name. I'm not calling you that. Jolol? Are you really trying to reinvent yourself at this point in your career? I'm going to keep calling you by your old name.
These abilities and memories can just be guessed by the player at any time or figured out by acquiring letters, and there are a few ways to find them. One is as a reward from combat. Killing an enemy lets the player pick a few letters from its name to help figure them out. Enemies respawn after a bit, so it's possible to farm letters to an extent. More on that later. The variety of abilities for each character really surprised me, and it effectively gives the player license to lean into multiple different combat strategies. This is particularly true for those that work outside of combat, like setting traps and hazards which enemies can step on while trying to get to you. Some do damage based on a specific letter being in the name, some attract or deflect aggro, some knock down enemies. But I think my favorite is the combo of poke and murder. Basically, the bard pisses off the assassin so much that she gets a stackable damage boost. On the recommended setting, fights play out in real time, and you don't need to be a high-level typist to get through any of these. To help balance things out, enemies don't attack too fast, and the cooldowns mean you can't input too many attacks too quickly. Even so, there's an obvious issue here. What if you can't type at a decent pace? What if you're the kind of person who plays the road race in Mavis Beacon teaches typing and ends up with a windshield covered in bugs? Well, there's a turn-based option. It's not necessarily the way the game was designed to be played, but if you're a slow typer or using a controller, yes, that's an option, then this is another way you can play. There's another factor at work, which is the Cryptmaster's Soul Stone. Aside from it being the thing that gives the Cryptmaster his powers, he needs the heroes to carry it, as he doesn't have a physical body. It also has a limited charge. The number on it goes down when the heroes use certain abilities or when buying certain things from people later in the game, and it goes up when acquiring souls. It's like the fantasy dungeon crawler version of the Metro bullet economy. These can be gained either by defeating enemies or collecting bugs from the walls of the dungeons. Look, I get the idea behind this, but with the black and white color scheme and the way walls look, particularly rock walls, it can be hard to spot them without being right in front of them. In hallways, this can quickly turn into the Stone Keep Shuffle all over again. The word games also give letters and souls. The first word game is with the Cryptmaster himself. When you find a chest or crate with an item in it from the world of the living, you have to guess what it is based on the Cryptmaster's descriptions of it, which tend to be a bit strange.
It's small. It's got a hole in it. I don't know what more to say.
There's also the riddles, some of which are traditional classic riddles and some of which are wordplay riddles. For some reason you can retry these riddles if you don't guess correctly the first time, but for the guess the item puzzles, you can only try them once. Apparently the undead are only allowed to open chests one time. Wait, is that why Resident Evil zombies rarely open doors? They can only do it once? There are two things in particular that keep me coming back to this game and which ultimately lead me to recommend it to, well, anyone. And no, I'm not talking about the journal system that helps you keep track of all your quests, or the incredibly useful warping system that allows you to travel between multiple regions really quickly. And I'm definitely not saying that because I forgot to record this and am splicing it in later. One is variety. Cryptmaster gradually introduces new elements to keep things interesting throughout. New enemies will have armor that can only be broken with specific abilities, or unique abilities like life leech or damage boosts. New mechanics appear, like the card game
Whatever,
with which you can gain cards from people by winning against them. This is way more intuitive and simpler to understand than any Final Fantasy card game ever was. You can also collect animals that appear in the various environments. And I can't mention variety without adding that the amount of words this game will recognize is kind of absurd.
Mutton. You know, you've no use for food now you're undead. Platypus. Are you just saying the names of animals? Or what did you say? Dubstep? For reasons of copyright, I can't really discuss that.
The guy who wrote this game and voiced the Cryptmaster, Lee Williams, said he more or less recorded a dictionary's worth of words for the game, and I'd believe it. Not just that, the game is programmed to respond to certain types of words. For example, the heroes have to destroy or desecrate altars for them to function as save points. Now, if you were playing this game with a Twitch chat open, what do you think they would suggest?
Yes, give it a good soaking. Oh, yes, that's filthy. Oh, yes, commence the debauchery.
Oh, for shame sake, that is just typical. I can't believe they keep doing this. Why do we even bother?
And yes, this can also work in other conversations.
The fact that you are so intellectually defunct that you cannot respond to a simple yes or no question with one of the only two permissible answers suggests that you are indeed dead.
The second reason is the tone this game sets. The Cryptmaster, the character, not the game, is a sarcastic British Halloween decoration who expects the worst out of you. And I'd buy him a beer if he weren't dead and I weren't straight edge. The themes of death and the past are at play throughout, but the game doesn't take itself too seriously, and the humor doesn't overstay its welcome. It's tough to balance these sort of elements in this kind of game, but Cryptmaster pulls it off. This started as 4 dead heroes resurrected by a necromancer to fight their way out of the underworld, trying to navigate word-based puzzles and survive long enough to remember who they are. Under my guidance, this game turned into 4 zombie exterminators sharding, pissing, vomiting, and dry humping their way to a second lease on life. And I absolutely love it. When I stream this game, the people watching tend to like it too. Riddles and certain conversations can become group efforts, and there's a definite sense of fulfillment in trying to figure them out. Well, that or just answering everything by sharding.
King Vitus is the name, I'm the first in my line, and I'ma burn your ears like turpentine. So prithee now, madam, come listen to my song. It might be savage, but it won't be long. My lute's more ruthless than a ballista. Let me hit you with a steel tip rhyme now, sister. You've gotta give me credit, I'm so versatile.
Also, this cost $25 on Steam, meaning you could buy it 3 times and still pay less than you would for one Xbox or Switch 2 game.